Wow, I never expected the kind of response that I have gotten. Thanks to everyone that wants to hear more of my stories, and I do have a bunch. First, let me address a few questions about the arm from my first post. 1. The arm looks like a man's arm, no sleeves or tattoos of any sort. Though I can see that it has darkish hair on the forearm. I did notice one thing that seemed odd. It was missing its fingernail on its pinky finger. 2. Come on guys, it's almost 2020. I've already tried to take a picture of the arm. I mean, how could I not? It's a random arm reaching out from under a shelving unit. Well, I've got some bad news for anyone wanting to see the arm. It doesn't photograph well. As in, not at all. Whenever I tried to use my camera on my phone, nothing ever shows up. I tried to film it once, snatching something like it did the spray can. Son of a bitch just ignored it. That was until I stopped filming, then it grabbed it. That really had me worried when it did that, because that means that whatever the arm is attached to can think. I told Mike about not being able to film the arm and he wasn't surprised. He told me it doesn't show up on our security cameras either. He said he tried to let the day shift know about it once, and of course they don't believe him because there was nothing on the cameras. 3. I kept pushing Mike on the arm and he finally did tell me that yes, it did grab someone once. When I tried to get him to spill the beans on what happened, he just told me to make sure that it doesn't grab me. After that, he wouldn't say any more about it and told me to stop asking. I could tell that talking about it was really upsetting to him, so I'm just going to leave it alone for a while. Okay, I hope that helped some with their questions. I'll try to answer when I can. With me working 10-hour shifts, I tend to do only 2 things: work and sleep. Because of my hours, I was curious about how much I'm walking now at work, so I downloaded a step counter on my phone. I can say I was a bit shocked to see I'm walking about 1200 steps a day. No wonder my feet always hurt. Anyway, no one is here to listen about me getting my steps in for the day. You guys want more stories and I already hinted at the 2 in my last post. So I'll start with the thing that lives in the garden center. Alright, as anyone that has ever seen a Lowe's knows that they all have a garden center where they keep their mulch, stones and pretty much anything you might need plant or garden wise. Right now it's filled with Christmas trees, big and small, as well as other Christmas related plants. During the day it's a very nice place and feels very Christmassy. Anyway, at night with the lights off it can feel a bit spooky. No one in receiving likes to stock the garden center, so we take turns. Now the question arises, why don't we like to stock the garden center? You can look back to the aforementioned thing that lives in the garden center. Someone from my last post suggested that it might be a garden gnome, and in all honesty it might be. None of us has ever seen it, and from what Mike has told me, no one ever has. So how do we know it's there? Easy, we hear it and feel it. We hear it because the damn thing is always moving about. We can hear it scampering on the roof, on top of the racks, and in the ceiling scaffoldings. We can hear its feet slap the concrete as it runs through the aisles, always just out of view, or you see its movement just out of the corner of your eye. That's not even the worst part of it. The damn thing is always laughing when you walk into the garden center. Now, I don't mean like a full belly laugh or an evil maniacal laugh, but more like a snicker or a hushed giggle. You know the type, where you know a joke or just something funny about someone, but you want to try to keep it quiet. Yeah, that kind of laugh. It starts up as soon as you walk through the doors and doesn't stop till you leave. And wherever you go, its laughter is always behind you or beside you. Sometimes it sounds like whatever it is right behind you, close enough that you should be able to feel its breath. But if you turn around, there's never anything there. Other times it sounds like it's coming from the other side of the garden center, and it's those times you have to look out for. Why? It's so far away. Yes, it is, but that's when it chucks shit at you. Yeah, the little fucker likes to throw rocks or rubber parts and whatever it can get its hand on and lobs it at you. Luckily, it's a pretty bad aim, but if it does hit you, then it really starts to giggle. Telling it to stop doesn't help either. It's like when a kid tries to tell a bully to stop picking on him. All it does, it makes the bully double down, and that's pretty much what happens with the thing in the garden center. The best we can do is just ignore it. Still, the damn thing is unsettling as hell. The second thing I hinted at was the naked little man. Now, this motherfucker pisses me off to no end. As I'm thinking about it, maybe this is what the person said might be a garden gnome, but I really don't think so. First off, it's completely hairless, and by that I mean a bowling ball has more hair than this thing. I've only really seen it a few times fully. Most of the time I see its little fat ass running around the end of an aisle or scampering over the top of one. It can move pretty damn fast. I'll try to explain it so you can get a better understanding of. Thing is only about a foot, maybe a foot and a half tall, completely hairless, like I said before, fat and squat looking. Imagine a nude, hairless Danny DeVito, without genitals, and you would be spot on. Yeah, I said without genitals, thank God for the small favors. The only reason I call it a man is because it has absolutely zero traits of a woman. We actually started calling it Danny once I pointed to the resemblance. Anyway, this little bastard is more of a nuisance than it is anything else. It likes to make messes, knock stuff off the top of the racks, and steal your shit. That kind of stuff. Always makes your night a living hell because of all the extra work he forces us to do. Recently, while we were all taking our lunch break, we heard a lot of banging of a lot of stuff falling. We all ran to where we heard it. If you ever been to Lowe's around Christmas, you know that we display those tacky-ass blow-up lawn ornaments on the top of the racks close to the entrance. Well, that little fucker knocked one off. But wait, there's more. See, we don't just sit them up there. We tie those things down so they can't fall on the customers. But this little fucker had untied them all, then tied them together, so when he pushed one off, they all went. Let it be said, we all were quite pissed that night. Danny only comes out about 2 or 3 times a month, but I've lost about 5 box cutters to him. We have no idea where he came from or where he goes. He's not like the thing in the garden center though. He doesn't laugh or giggle or even throw stuff. Danny is pretty quiet except when it runs or climbs. His bare feet slap the concrete and he always sounds out of breath, but only when he's on the move. Once he stops, he doesn't. Once he stops, he goes dead quiet. One time the little bastard swiped my box cutter and took off. Luckily, I just came out of the aisle to see him grab it. I took off after him, swearing if I catch him, I'm going to punt him like a fat bald football. As I ran around the corner and had to stop fast, pudgy bastard had set me up. Danny had dropped my cutter, but this aisle had the arm in it. And it was stretched disturbingly so as it was trying to grab my cutter, which was literally just outside its fingertips. If I hadn't come to a stop when I did, I would have been in arm's reach of it. I looked up to see Danny looking down at me from the top of the rack. Oh yeah, I cast him out, but all he did was watch me with those beady little eyes of his until he just ducked away and I hear him scamper off. I don't know if Danny was trying to hurt me or not, but I'm putting a chain on my box cutter from now on. And I don't think I'll be chasing him anymore. That's all I have time for tonight. I have more stories if you're still interested. Let me know and maybe I'll tell you about the man that watches the store, or the fact that I think the store itself doesn't like me.